The next section we're in the textbook is section 2.7, which is Excel tables. So there is a feature in Excel where you can convert a data set into an Excel table, and there's value in doing that for when you update data, when you write formulas for some data integrity. There's value in this. So anytime this is just some numbers, and it's structured. There's columns and rows, but if I put my cursor over in the data set, and I'm going to go insert, and I'm going to do a table. Later on we'll do pivot tables, but for now I'm going to put table, and look what Excel does. I'm in the marketing worksheet, by the way. It grabbed all the data. It guessed correctly A1 through O1001. This has 1,000 records of data. And it also knows, or it looks that the first row is a label or identifier, so make that the headers. And when you do this, you can see it adds a certain format. It actually created this called a table. And under the design, you can change the color, different formats, however you want to do that. You can also rename this table. But what it does is that now we can do filters. We can do filters on dates. We can filter this on a certain, if we just want to look at 2014 data. We can then keep that filter and only look in Boston or Buffalo. So you can start looking at, you can really summarize this data really quickly. The other thing you can do is under the design sheet, if you total row in the last one, so I went under design, total row, what it does is it adds one more row called total, and in the very last column it puts the default as sum. Now all of these you can do. You could put any of these if you thought there were other ones that you could look at if you wanted to see what the average salary was or the total salary. You just have to know what these mean. But that's what this dollar amount is. Or this last row, you can summarize this to whatever you want. What's cool about this total row, it only provides a number based on the filters. So right now it's it's the amount spent. It's a sum. It's a sum of these 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. But if I remove these filters, if I take the filter off and scroll down, then you see the number dynamically change. So it's only giving you the summaries on based on what you have filtered. And the nice thing about this table is that if I want to build a ratio or build a new column, and let's say we've got amount spent and we've got salary, or I could certainly put together a ratio, maybe amount spent divided by salary will be the name of my header. Look what it did. It automatically added that to the table. And then if I write a formula, look how it writes a formula. It doesn't do it like typical Excel. I'm going to take amount spent and see what it wrote. It wrote this. So it's actually referencing the field in that table, the field name, divided by the salary. And when I hit enter, look what happens. Whoops. I think that needs to be a bracket. So when I write a formula, I've got this amount spent, and I want that to be amount spent. And I'm going to say equal to this. Look what happened. See what it wrote? It took this, divided by this, and when I hit enter, so it didn't write, it wrote it in a different format, but when I hit enter, look what happens. It blows it down, the entire thing, into a that formula all the way through. Now I could change the format if I wanted to and change it all into a percent of the amount spent as a function of salary. But it wrote this formula all the way down. We can again go down to the total and change that to find out whatever we want on that cell I wanted to find the average or the max or the min. Same thing at the bottom. If I take off the total row and I add another one, it added that total. Now I've got to, if I would populate this and add some new data, it knows the format, it updates the formula automatically, but it dynamically updates the table. And you'll see when we start referencing this table in pivot tables, your pivot tables will automatically update, and we won't have to change the range setting when we do this. So tables are pretty cool, they're pretty handy, and you use these later.